The World Cup is here. Right now, as we speak, the greatest tournament in football is underway. And every single time this tournament comes around, the same thing happens. A young player nobody expected steps onto the biggest stage in the world and changes everything. In 1998, it was Michael Owen. In 2006, it was Lionel Messi. In 2018, it was Kylian Mbappé. And now, a new generation is ready. Today, we're looking at 10 U-21 players. Who could define this World Cup and the future of football itself? If you enjoy football stories like this, please subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps the channel. Now, let's get into it. The Prince of Barcelona, Lamine Yamal. Let's start with a question. How many records can one 18-year-old break? Because Lamine Yamal has been answering that question for the past 2 years, and the answer keeps getting bigger. Youngest player ever to appear for Barcelona. Youngest player ever to score for Spain. Youngest player ever to appear in a European Championship final. And he's still only 18 years old. Honestly, it's hard to believe, isn't it? Yamal grew up in Mataró, just outside Barcelona, the son of a Moroccan father and a mother from Equatorial Guinea. At 6 years old, La Masia opened its doors. And from that moment, every single age group he passed through faster than anyone before him. His playing style is almost unfair to watch. He sets up on the right wing, cuts inside onto that left foot, and the defender in front of him simply has no idea what's coming next. The dribble, the shot, the pass. He can do all three at elite level in the same movement at any moment. And what separates him from every other gifted teenager is that he never looks like a teenager. He looks like a veteran who has seen every situation 100 times before. At Euro 2024, he played every single minute of Spain's run to the title. At 16 years old, and in that semifinal against France, on the eve of his 17th birthday, he scored one of the most beautiful goals the tournament had ever seen. A curling, unstoppable left foot strike, bending into the far corner, and Spain were in the final. The whole world stopped to watch that goal, didn't they? And then this season, he didn't slow down, not even slightly. 16 goals and 11 assists in La Liga at 18 years old. Those are numbers that forwards in their prime would be proud of. And Yamal produced them, while also driving Barcelona's title challenge and lighting up the Champions League. Week after week, there is a slight hamstring concern heading into the tournament, and Spain will be careful with his minutes early on. But when Yamal is fully fit and fully free, this World Cup feels like it was made for him. The stage is set. Let's watch what he does with it. But Spain aren't the only country bringing a generational talent to this tournament. Because in France, a 19-year-old had a season. That made the whole of Europe sit up and take notice. The French enigma, Désiré Doué. Most players his age are still trying to break into a first team. He is already a starter at Paris Saint-Germain. And honestly, that sentence alone should tell you everything. You need to know about Désiré Doué. Doué grew up in Angers, Western France, joined the local academy as a boy, and by 17 was already playing in Ligue 1. Not as a cameo, as a genuine important contributor. The performances were so striking that PSG came in the summer of 2024 and spent over 50 million euros on him. 50 million euros on a teenager who had barely played a full season of top-flight football. That is a statement of belief. That is almost impossible to overstate, isn't it? And this season, Doué repaid every single cent. Double-digit goal contributions across all competitions. Big performances on big nights. Champions League, Ligue 1 title run-ins. The moments that separate the good players from the great ones. He never shied away from pressure. He ran towards it. His playing style is built on pure unpredictability. Right wing, left wing, number 10, shadow striker. He brings elite quality to every single role. You simply cannot pin down where the threat is coming from. And that, for any defender in this tournament, is a very uncomfortable feeling. France have been waiting for the post-Mbappé generation to arrive. Well, here comes Désiré Doué. Watch him closely. But if France have Doué, Turkey have a player who just had one of the most exciting seasons of any young player in European football. Turkey's golden boy, Arda Güler. People call him the heir to Mesut Özil. People call him the future of Turkish football. But honestly, Arda Güler doesn't need any comparison. He is already something completely his own. And at 20 years old, he is a regular starter at Real Madrid. Let that sink in for a second. Real Madrid, the most decorated club in football history, and this 20-year-old from Ankara is earning his place in their starting 11, week after week. And this season, he showed everyone exactly why Real Madrid paid what they paid. Goals in La Liga, crucial contributions in the Champions League, match-winning performances in the biggest games, and that unmistakable ability to produce something completely unexpected at exactly the moment it is needed most. Double-digit goal contributions this season, a level of consistency the Madrid faithful hadn't quite seen from him yet. And watching him game after game, the feeling grew stronger and stronger. The Arda Güler era at the Bernabeu has truly begun. For Turkey at this World Cup, Güler doesn't arrive as a prospect. He arrives as a proven performer at the very highest level. An entire nation is building its dreams around him. And if Turkey are going to make history in North America, it is going to have Arda Güler's fingerprints all over it. I genuinely cannot wait to watch him, can you? But while Güler carries Turkey's hopes, there is a player in Portugal's midfield, who this season became one of the most complete young midfielders anywhere in European football. The midfield machine, João Neves. Some players announce themselves with a spectacular goal. Some players announce themselves with a dribble that leaves defenders on the floor. João Neves announces himself by making every single player around him look like the best version of themselves. And honestly, that is the hardest thing to do in football. Neves grew up in the Benfica Academy, broke into the first team as a teenager, and PSG signed him in 2024 for a fee that told you everything about how seriously Europe's biggest clubs were taking this talent. And this season, he justified every single euro of it. At PSG, surrounded by some of the most expensive players. In the history of the sport, Neves was not overwhelmed, not even close. He was one of the engines. Game after game, his pressing intensity never dropped. His decision-making under pressure remained elite. And alongside Vitinha and Zaïre-Emery, he was part of a PSG midfield that genuinely competed with anyone in Europe. The comparison to Bernardo Silva kept coming. And watching Neves this season, it was so easy to understand why. The same relentless quality, the same ability to make the team better, simply by being on the pitch. For Portugal at this World Cup, Neves is not the future of the midfield. He is the present. And the present is very, very exciting, isn't it? But Portugal aren't the only team with a midfield revelation. Because in Italy, a 20-year-old has been making one of the most famous clubs in the world feel like his personal stage. The Bosphorus star, Kenan Yıldız. Turkey has Güler, and Turkey also has Yıldız, which means for opposing defenders at this World Cup. This is going to be a very, very long summer. Kenan Yıldız was born in Regensburg, Germany, to Turkish parents who never let him forget where he came from. He came through the Bayern Munich Academy, worked his way through the system, and then made the decision that defined his career. He turned down Germany and chose Turkey. That decision looked bold at the time. This season, it looks like pure genius, doesn't it? Because at Juventus this season, Yıldız was not just a starter. He was the player Juventus built their attack around. Goals, assists, moments of individual brilliance. That had Serie A genuinely buzzing. He wore the number 10 shirt, the very same shirt that Del Piero made legendary. And for long stretches of this season, he made that shirt feel completely, entirely his own. The comparisons to Del Piero kept coming, and Yıldız, to his great credit, kept delivering. Alongside Güler, he is one half of the most exciting young attacking partnership. At this entire World Cup, both 21 years old, both in the form of their lives. If Turkey go deep in this tournament, and I really think they might, the world will never forget either of their names. But while Yıldız lit up Serie A, there is a teenager in Spain's squad who lit up the Champions League and did things at 19 years old that most center backs never manage in their entire career. The Wall of Catalonia, Pau Cubarsí. There's a quote going around among Barcelona fans and former players. Better than Puyol at the same age, as stable as Piqué, and he just turned 19. That sentence should not exist. And yet, here we are. Pau Cubarsí was born in Girona, Catalonia, joined La Masia as a child, and in January 2024, made his Barcelona debut. 4 months later, he was playing in the Champions League, not as an emergency option, as a genuine trusted starter, because Barcelona believed in him more than any of the alternatives. And this season, he took another enormous step. Cubarsí was one of Barcelona's most consistent performers across the entire campaign. In La Liga, he anchored one of the best defensive units in the division. In the Champions League, on the biggest European nights, he showed that everything he had flashed in his debut season was no fluke. Game after game, watching him at the back, reading the game, positioning perfectly, calmly, playing out of pressure, as if he had done it 1,000 times before. The same thought kept coming to everyone watching. This player is 19 years old. How is this player 19 years old? For Spain at this World Cup, Cubarsí is not a prospect. He is one of the defensive pillars of the best international team in the world. The future of the center back position is already playing in the present, and his name is Pau Cubarsí. But Spain aren't the only country with an extraordinary young story. Because in Brazil, there is a teenager at Real Madrid who this season stopped being a prospect and started being a genuine problem for every defender in La Liga. The heir of Brazil, Endrick. At 16 years old, Real Madrid decided they needed to sign him. Not watch him, not monitor him. Sign him. Right now, his name is Endrick. He is 18 years old. And this season, Real Madrid made a decision that surprised a lot of people. They sent him out on loan to Lyon. Not because they'd given up on him, but because he needed minutes. He needed responsibility, and he needed a league where he could simply play. And at Lyon, Endrick found exactly that. 5 goals, 7 assists, real game time in a real system, where he wasn't fighting for scraps behind the biggest front line in the world. And the finishing instinct, cold, sharp, completely instinctive, was on full display. He doesn't need many touches. He doesn't need the ball all the time. He needs one moment, 1 second of space, and the ball is in the net. And when that moment arrives, it is something really special to watch, isn't it? Brazil haven't won a World Cup since 2002. That is a long time. A very long time. And somewhere in the heart of every Brazilian fan, the question never quite goes away. Is this the one? Is this the year? Watch Endrick closely. Because if Brazil have a magic moment at this World Cup, he will be involved. But while Endrick carries Brazil's future, France have a teenager in midfield, who this season quietly became one of the very best young central midfielders in European football. The Parisian prodigy, Zaïre-Emery. He was born in Montreuil, just outside Paris. A PSG fan from the moment he could form opinions. And now he plays for PSG. He has done since he was 16 years old. Zaïre-Emery is 20. And this season, he made a very significant step forward. At PSG this campaign, Zaïre-Emery was no longer the exciting teenager, getting his chances from the bench. He was a regular, a reliable, important regular, a player the coaching staff trusted completely to control a game from the middle of the pitch. On the biggest occasions, his pressing remained ferocious, his decision-making remained elite, and alongside Neves and Vitinha, he was part of a PSG midfield that genuinely stood up against the best in Europe. For France at this World Cup, Zaïre-Emery will play a real role, not as decoration, as a genuine piece of the system. He might not be the player everyone talks about afterwards, but the coaches will know, the analysts will know. And after this tournament, so will everyone else. But France aren't the only team with a midfield story to tell. Because in Italy this season, a 20-year-old Argentine had a campaign that made the whole of Serie A ask the same simple question: where did this kid come from? Argentina's next magician, Nico Paz. There are players born to play football, and then there are players football was specifically invented for. Nico Paz, son of former Argentine international Pablo Paz, came through Real Madrid's academy, worked through the system, and then made a move. That raised eyebrows across the football world. He left Real Madrid for Como, a club freshly promoted to Serie A. No history, no glamour, no Champions League. And it was the absolute best decision he ever made. Because at Como this season, Nico Paz was not a young player finding his feet. He was the best player at the club, by a distance, goals, assists, performances that made the rest of Serie A stop and take notice, including clubs far bigger and far richer than Como. The creativity in tight spaces, the ability to find solutions nobody else sees. That left foot producing moments. That looked like they belonged on a much bigger stage. And guess what? Now they are on the biggest stage of all. The result? One of the most talked about young players in European football, bringing that form, that confidence, that momentum, straight into a World Cup. For Argentina, already world champions, Paz represents the next generation arriving. The players who watched 2022 happen and decided they want their own moment too. At 21 years old, this could just be the beginning. And what a beginning it could be, right? But Argentina aren't the only South American nation with a remarkable story. Because the final player on our list today represents something truly special. Not just a talented footballer, but a symbol of something much bigger. Mexico's teenage miracle, Gilberto Mora. His name might not ring a bell yet, and that is exactly why we're talking about him. Gilberto Mora is 17 years old. He plays for Club Tijuana in Liga MX. And this season, he announced himself in the most emphatic way possible. Goals, assists, performances that had Mexican football fans bouncing out of their seats, and scouts from Europe quietly reaching for their phones. The thing that stood out most was the directness. No hesitation, no waiting for the perfect moment. He sees the space, he attacks it. And more often than not, something special happens. A left foot that can deliver danger from any angle. Pace that fullbacks simply cannot live with. And a mentality, calm, fearless, completely ready. That tells you this stage is not too big for him. Not even close. Mexico have co-hosted this World Cup. Alongside the United States and Canada, the pressure has never been greater. The expectations have never been higher. And into that enormous environment, Gilberto Mora has been handed his moment. This is a player who could genuinely surprise the world at this tournament. And I, for one, cannot wait to watch him, can you? The world is watching. Let's see what he does. A generation that cannot be stopped. 10 players, 10 stories, 10 futures. But what connects all of them is something bigger than any individual story. This is the first World Cup of a new era. Messi won it in 2022. Ronaldo's final chapter is being written. The giants are stepping back, and into the space they are leaving. These players are stepping forward. Yamal, Cubarsí, Mora, Endrick, Zaïre-Emery. These are not players waiting for their moment. They are already in it, right now. And here's the thing about this tournament. It doesn't wait for anyone. While we've been talking at Morocco's Ayyoub Bouaddi, an 18-year-old almost nobody outside his country had heard of, walked onto the pitch against Brazil and looked like he'd been playing at this level his whole career. That's the World Cup. A golden boy can appear out of absolutely nowhere. Today, tomorrow, in any match, at any moment. Nobody knows who the next one will be. That's what makes this tournament so special, isn't it? This might be the one we look back on and say, that was when everything changed. And the players we have talked about today, they might be the ones who define not just this World Cup, but the next decade of the sport. Some will shine immediately. Some will take time. But some of them will produce moments that people are still talking about 20 years from now. Because that is what the World Cup does. It creates legends. It creates moments. It creates the kind of memories that stay with you forever. The future of football isn't coming. It's already here, right now, on these pitches in North America at the 2026 World Cup. If you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe and hit the like button. It really helps the channel. We'll see you in the next one.